center in a dry, barren valley is now an oasis of activity.
In 1984, World Vision came to this valley to provide emergency food to 60,000 starving people. They come down from the plateaus and from around these mountainsides and valleys and were congregating in this area.
On a Monday when we take people on, we usually find we have about 4,000 here, all wanting jobs, food for work.
This is a rather unique valley where we have two very important elements available on which we can build a very solid development project. The first is water, and the second is fertile soil.
We have made preliminary studies of this valley, and there is the potential, if it is well developed, to feed about 1 million people.
You can see that it's possible. It is physically possible to bring water onto this land, to plant these crops, and you can see the result here for yourselves. The variety of crops extend from teff here, the most common food grown here in Ethiopia, to wheat, to barley, to maize, to most of the staples, also to a wide variety of vegetables and fruit trees and cash crops. This is the real story in Ethiopia. This may not be as dramatic as feeding food to starving people, but by developing these kinds of resources in Ethiopia, we will produce more food than will ever be imported into this country from foreign sources. If the world is serious about preventing famine, then it needs to invest in development efforts like this.
Unfortunately, there are no easy answers to the complex problems we see today in Ethiopia. There are no shortcuts to peace. No quick fix can replace the long haul ahead for Ethiopians who are working for self-sufficiency. Meanwhile, as 7 million people struggle to survive a famine in the months ahead, we may need to ask ourselves some tough questions. Are we really that different from them? In the face of life or death, can we allow political conflict to hold us back from helping families survive? Can we limit our concern for dignity and quality of life to our own backyards? Can we really justify a conflict of conscience?
Have a right, to be like us, to be self-sufficient, to be providing for their children, for their homes, and aspire for a better life. They are a force for this nation. They are productive people.
Like many Ethiopians, I love my country and I love my people. I, like many other Ethiopians, want to go back home. I cannot live without having Ethiopia in my dreams. The fundamental problem in Ethiopia is a question of peace. It's not a question of famine. It's not a question of poverty. What we need is peace.
September the 12th is a historic date in Ethiopia. For the vast majority of Ethiopians, September the 12th, 1974, strikes a chord at the very root of their lives and aspirations. It was on that spring day that the monarchy, a symbol of oppression, misery, poverty, and ignorance, was overthrown. And today, as Ethiopians celebrate the 4th anniversary of their victory with their revolutionary leader, they have more reason to feel triumphant. Aiming at socialism as their goal, they stand today as winners, winners whose guide is the Marxist-Leninist ideology, winners who have defeated their internal and external enemies who had fought against the revolution for the past 4 years. People and armed forces of Ethiopia, a revolutionary nation has been born in the Horn of Africa. The theme of struggle and victory is reflected by the oppressed people all over the world. Victory, indeed, is the fruit of struggle. Marx, Engels, and Lenin all were aware of this. The Great October Revolution in the Soviet Union is testimony to this. Struggle and victory are words that have meaning to the Vietnamese people. The words are real to Ethiopians who know how many of their countrymen made the supreme sacrifice for their revolution. Until we achieve final victory, we have to continue to struggle. And it is time to look back at our political and military victories and see the immense contributions made by the people to repulse internal and foreign enemies of our revolution.
የታጋዩ የቪየትናም ህዝብ ረጅም ትግል ያወረሰን አርአያነት ይሄንኑ ነው። የኢትዮጵያ ሰፊ ህዝብና ተራማጆች በየጦር ሜዳው ከወደቁትና በጸረ አብዮት አመጽ ከተሰዉት ጓዶቻቸው የቀሰሙት የትግል ምሳሌ ይሄንኑ ነው። ትግል ድል፣ ድል ትግል፣ ሁለቱም በዳይሌክቲካዊ ጣምራነት የሚጓዙ ናቸው። ዘላቂውን ድል እስከምንጨብጥ ትግላችን ይቀጥላል። በውጪ ወራሪዎችና በውስጥ አዳሪዎች ላይ አብዮቱ በተለይ በፖለቲካና በወታደራዊ ረገድ የተቀዳጃቸውን ድሎች ከመዘርዘሬ በፊት ትግሉ ምን ያህል መራራ እንደነበረ የቱንስ ያህል መስዋዕትነት እንደጠየቀ እንድንመረምር እጠይቃለሁ።
ያንኑ የማለድህን አርማ ከጥቅሳት አርበኞች ከወጣቶች ከሴቶች ከመይካማ ከስራ ባለሙያዎች ከስራ ማህበር ከመይካማ ከአጠቃላይ ከተማሪዎች ከተመሰገነባት የተወጣጡ አጅበውት ነበረ። አሁን አባት ጦረኞቹ ወደ ሊቀመንበሩና ክብር እንግዳው ፊት በመቃረብ ላይ ናቸው፣ ደርሰዋል።
The youth, the vibrant sector of society, had for a time been misled by a number of counter-revolutionary groups and had lagged behind the struggle. Today, however, they are an active part of the revolution. Young Ethiopians have a heavy responsibility before them. With their vitality and strength, it is they who will build socialism, leaving strong foundations of the new Ethiopia to future generations. Ethiopian women are a pride to their country, but they've been ignored and repressed for centuries. The feudal bourgeois order showed women and their offspring nothing but cruelty. But they've struggled all the same. To overcome their double oppression, they are carrying out a twin struggle on the side of the revolution. Ethiopia is a land of many nationalities, all of which are not at the same level of historical development. Many languages coexist. She is proud of the variety of peoples and culture, hence her name, the Mosaic of Peoples. The past regime had exploited the rich variety of Ethiopia. The regime practiced the divide and rule tactic and displayed favoritism, neglect and chauvinism. But today the Ethiopian people are united in purpose. They believe in equality and socialism and are struggling to develop their cultures in the spirit of unity. Agriculture is the basis of the Ethiopian economy. Exploited in the past, the peasant is now free from feudal bondage. In alliance with the working class, he has cast his lot with the revolution. The worker, too, is forging ahead with the peasant at his side. The All Ethiopia Trade Union embraces all workers, while the All Ethiopian Peasant Association represents the peasants. The AETU and the AEPA, together with the armed forces and progressive intellectuals, are today building socialist Ethiopia in unity.
ከዚያ በኋላ ደግሞ በቢጫ ሰሌዳ ላይ በቀይ ተጽፎበት ጊዜያዊ ችግር አይፈታንም የሚል መፈክር ይዘዋል። በመጨረሻም ደግሞ ማለትም የዚህ ምድብ የሰልፈኞች መጨረሻ በምርት መስክ ላይ እንዳሉ የሚያሳይ ነው። የዓለም ወዛደሮች ተባበሩ በማለት በተለይ የመብራት ጋዝና ወዛደሮች ያሉበት መኪና ላይ ወደ ላይ ተፈንጥሮ የሚወጣ ውሃ ያለበት ማለት በእነዚህ ወዛደሮች የተሰራ ነው። እንዲያውም መኪናው ላይ የመንገድ የአስፋልት
Revolution defense squads are early products of the Ethiopian Revolution and are making a significant contribution. They are among numerous mass organizations that mushroomed as the mass movement gained momentum. Ethiopians celebrate the 4th anniversary of the revolution, they look back to the testing times of struggle of the past 4 years. Ethiopian students have sacrificed a great deal for the struggle of the people. As their political consciousness developed, student grievances about college life were transformed into national political demands. Land to the tiller, education for the child of the poor, work for the unemployed, bread for the hungry. Workers must be freed from slavery. These demands were poison to the Haile Selassie regime. Soon other sectors of society began to add to the pressure. The regime was then forced to alternate between meaningless gestures and repressive actions. The struggle deepened and widened. It spread like flames out of the capital and reached all corners. It was burning everywhere. With the support of the broader sectors of the Ethiopian people, the direction of the struggle became more and more visible and real. Believers in freedom never shrank from spelling doom for the old order and its replacement by a new progressive society. Ethiopian students never lost sight of the miserable lives led by the broad masses. They used any opportunity to defy the feudal regime. These are students on a hunger strike.
Incident of Friday disappointed us greatly, you know.
Of Friday? You mean the announcement of Mr. Andrew Catchell as Prime Minister?
Along with the shooting of the students.
Well, how many students were shot?
Were shot so many, but you know, that includes high school students and others.
Yeah.
And therefore, the information I got may not be dependable.
Could you explain again your position with regard to the Emperor and his state?
Well, I hope and I think these are one of the last days of his power.
You want to see an end to the monarchy in this country?
Panic gripped the ruling class. Teachers were on strike, taxis had halted services, and even government employees had stopped working. The death knell sounded for the crown as thousands of workers in complete unity declared a general strike. Ethiopian workers have a proud history of 44 years of struggle. The struggle sprouted in 1935 when workers of the Franco-Ethiopian Railway formed a union and went on strike. This was just the beginning. The working class continued its difficult struggle to assume its scientifically mandated leading position. And on May the 28th, 1961, in an open field in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian workers formed their united trade union. For exploiters, this meant danger. The feudal regime turned to its imperialist advisors for help. In August 1962, tried to quell the flames with a proclamation governing worker-owner relations. Despite all this, however, the workers formed the Confederation of Ethiopian Labor Unions, CELU. Workers in Ethiopia suffered from low wages and were regarded as second-class citizens. Their wage was 50 US cents a day. The ensuing strike, coupled with other reasons, created a condition for opportunists to assume labor leadership. This opportunism even forced the CELU leadership to accommodate the uprising in 1974. It became clear that nothing would stop the insurrection, and the working class demonstrated its muscle not only to its enemies, but to its friends as well. And as the long, smoldering struggle erupted in 1974, the rulers experienced their dark days of tension and humiliation.
ጉንጭህ ጆሮውን እስኪገፈትረው ድረስ ያላመጥከው የኢትዮጵያ ሀብት ሆድህን ጎስሮታል። በጉሮሮና በማጅራትህ የተቋጠረው ስብና ግድ ዝቅም ሲል ሽንፊላህን የወጠረው ሞራ ቁና ቁና እያስካተተ አስጨንቋል። ዶክተሮችን ብታማክራቸው ውፍረትህን ካልቀነስክ ጭንቀቱ እንደማይቀልልህ መክረዋል።
The flames of struggle grew fiercer and the fire spread quickly. The government first responded in a confused manner, but then began a show of force. All towns in Ethiopia became arenas of combat. The people who had suffered for so long became even more angered by the reaction of the regime.